Hello and welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. My name is Nicolette Mashile. I am also known as the Financial Bunny. A warm welcome to another episode of Ackerman's Rise Up, Remarkable Woman. And this is the series where we've been giving you those tools to empower you to make sure that that business idea that you may have gets started, it gets built and skilled up, and ultimately it scales into a larger business. Depending, of course, on which stage of business that you are at, we're here to help you into moving you from A to B to make sure that you become that remarkable entrepreneur that we know you can be, because siyamazi. So let's get into today's conversation. We're going to be talking a little bit about financial record keeping and why it's so important to make sure that you are keeping record of what is happening in your business. If at any instance somebody asks you, how much did your business make in the last quarter? You should be able to produce that simply from looking at the financial records that you are maintaining and you are keeping. Why? Because you need to be able to do comparable studies of whether in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, you have a good business or you do not have a healthy business. It's important to understand that financial record keeping is not simply for aesthetics purposes or to make you look like you're an astute business owner, but rather to help you decipher whether the business is in good health and it's moving in the right direction, or whether actually you're working into a deep, dark hole. And I'll tell you why. Say, for instance, you are somebody that bakes, right? You need to be able to have a good understanding of what your income statement looks like. Is what I am doing, is this business model that we have employed here at the business, does it work to be able to ensure that there is some level of profitability in our business? That's at the crux of it. We're not trying to be fancy and say, do these complex different types of financial record keeping. Simple financial record keeping, like understanding whether or not the business model that you have built, does it actually give you a loss, or do you actually make a profit from it? That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you need to issue invoices and receipts in your business. It is important to maintain those types of records because, for instance, invoicing is quite important because even from a tax perspective, if you are doing your tax returns and you get audited, they may just ask you to prove some of those payments that you have made or received. So you may need to get either a supplier invoice or an invoice that you have issued yourself. So it's important to make sure that you are maintaining record keeping when it comes to your invoicing and your receipts. The next one that you may want to even look at, which is also quite important, is what is your payroll? What does it look like? What are your operational costs? How much does it cost you to run the business from a day to day? Because if you understand how much your payroll is and how much your employees are costing you, then it is much better for you to be able to forecast the type of team that you can build. If you see that in your forecast, I actually still have room for an employee that I can pay a certain amount of money. Yes, I need this employee to be able to build capacity in the business and to be able to scale the business. You need that payroll. Because even when you're negotiating with that new employee as to how much you can pay them, you've got to take into account your payroll record keeping, because it will tell you that, okay, from a cost to company, this is how much we can afford. But remember, your employee doesn't just come with the cost to company. They also come with SARS, payee. They also come with UIF that you've got to pay for them. They come with the space that they've got to occupy in the business. They come with a desk maybe they may need. And if, for instance, you are a photography services, they need to have their own equipment. So the cost of getting in and inducting a new employee also needs to be accounted for on your payroll and in your HR record keeping. But that also includes contracts. Yes, we may not think about it and think this is record keeping or financial record keeping. Your employee contracts are part of your financial record keeping. And I'll tell you why. Because there are instances we have seen where employees take their employers to CCMA, for instance, or they take them to a legal process, for instance, And some of them win simply on the basis that there was no employment contract. That means that your business potentially could lose or have a potential financial loss because you may need to pay someone out, or you may need to hire an employee that, to be fair, is not valuable in the company, and you got to retain them simply because you did not maintain an employee contract. An employee contract, it's a record that is going to allow both you and the employee to understand what are my expectations as an employer, what are your deliverables as an employee. So maintaining those records is important. But it's even more valuable for your employee because if they've got something like that, it's easy for you to be able to then issue them with their tax-related documents, things like your IRP5. They need to know how much is their cost to company, how much are they actually going to be paid. We can't do this thing where we want to pay people in our companies whatever we think we made in the month. Unfortunately, that's not how running a sustainable business looks like. The next record that you need to be maintaining is your expenditure, your loans. It's important to understand, how much do I owe? What are my actual liabilities as a company? What do we have a lease where we're renting out? Do we have equipment that we have rented out or bought on credit? All of these things help you in making sure that you again can forecast and budget for how much the business needs to make every single month, because you've got the record keeping of what your liabilities are. The next one is your cash flow. You need to keep a cash flow statement, because a cash flow statement says to you how much liquidity does the business actually have. Because liquidity allows you to make a decision right here, right now. You are in a shop, you are a baker, and there's a stove that is on sale. You have a goal of expanding your business, you need a new stove, or for instance, it's an office space, or it's a warehouse that you need, and it's going at a discounted rate. If you have the cash flow, you can tap into those opportunities. But that requires you to quickly pick up your cash flow statement and look and see, okay, no, you know what, our money is actually tied up into a lot of assets. So right now, we can't make that kind of a move. Or you know what, actually, we can make that kind of a move because we have an expectation of an invoice or invoices that will be paid in the next 2 months. That will cover us in terms of our operational costs, our salaries and all of that stuff. That means we can make this investment right now. It's important to have those things. Another big and important record keeping, and probably one of the most basics, but many of us as businesses do not have, simple registration. I know it doesn't sound like a financial record to keep, but I promise you, registering your business allows you to tap into potential funding, for instance, if you have a business set up. Because remember, a business setup means that you've got a business tax number. It also means that you've got a business bank account. And sometimes you've got a potential investor that's looking at you and thinking, you know what, you actually have a good business idea. We actually have looked at, some of your sales in the last couple of months. We feel like we can invest in your business. So please give us a 3 months bank statement. Dololo business account. Okay, you don't have a business account. Give us at least your tax, tax returns. No tax returns. Okay, give us your business registration documents so that we know we're not investing in a person, but in a legal setup that is a business. Dololo business documents. These are some of the things that you do need to make sure that you are maintaining and keeping a record of, because they will ultimately assist in your business from a compliance perspective, to taking advantage of certain opportunities, but also to make sure that you know whether or not you are running a sustainable business. Financial record keeping is so key. And I've seen it so many times because, you sometimes have a supplier contract. and you've got this contract with the supplier, you must make sure that you are filing all of those contracts. Because that, again, just like an employee contract, a supplier contract indicates to you what are your expectations of the supplier and what you need to deliver to make sure that whatever agreement that you guys have come to can actually be executed at the end of the day. So I want to remind you again that if you are going to be running a business and you want it to be a business that is going to grow, you need to be able to see where and which parts of your business make the most sense. Where do you need to improve your processes? But where do you need to make sure that you are actually creating efficiency? Because, and I always say, I sit down with my tax guys almost every single quarter of every single year, and I ask them, okay guys, these are my tax and accounting guys. I say, okay, which part of the business makes money? So that I know where to put my effort. If it is from speaking engagements, if it's from selling books, is it from doing brand campaigns? Which area of the business actually makes us money, and where do we need to double up and where do we need to scale down? Which part of the business is taking too much money out of the business? Which of our liabilities are costing the business from a cash flow perspective, where we actually may need to pay off this loan because from a cash flow perspective, it compromises us every single time? The only way you're going to know these things is by making sure that you are keeping efficient financial record keeping. This is the end of our series. It's been absolutely fantastic being with you guys and really helping you by empowering you with the information that is needed to be able to build a formidable and a remarkable business. We hope that this series has been very fruitful for you and that you have learned something. Please do engage us in the comment section and let us know what else you would like to know about starting, growing, scaling, and skilling up your business. I'll see you guys on the next series.